prayers. They're very interesting because they're prayers by many different personalities in the universe, all different demigods, and all different planets around the universe. But there's one particular quality about all of their prayers is that there's some motivation. You'll see it's really obvious in this verse. You'll see it very obvious in this verse and the next verse. All of their prayers were with some motivation, some primarily they were thanking Nishni that you give us back our nice life. You killed this demon who was causing so much trouble to us, causing us so much pain. And now you killed him, thank you very much, and we'll go on with our life, comfortable life. But we'll see that that doesn't pacify Nishni, because it's personally motivated. They're not glorifying Nishni, they're simply being pious and thanking him for recuperating their sense gratification, basically. In the next one, we won't be here. Many of us won't be here, some will be here. None of us will be here. So a few more of these kinds of verses, and then we'll go into the next chapter, which is the only person who can pacify Nishini is Prahlad, because he simply glorified Nishini, as he's always done since he was in the womb, not even after. Before he was born, he was simply remembering, glorifying his Lord, and without any personal motivation. And that's the only way we can be free of fear, free of anxiety, free of attachment, is by simply trying to please the Lord without any motivation. And this whole chapter practically is all different kinds of persons in the material world with motivations and offering prayers to the Lord. So it's an interesting study in mentality, the material mentality, even though they're very elevated personalities, they're not ordinary personalities, they're very elevated personalities, but still even there's a slight tinge or just a drop of motivation of thinking what's good for me, then it's contaminated. It's not a pure devotional service, and we won't achieve the final result of pure devotional service. So this verse is 46. If you have your phones, screen, otherwise you can look on your phone. Shri Vidyadharam Shu 7:8 Vidyam Vita Dharanaya Nuradham Yashe Naragyo Balavirya Tripta Inasanke Pachubhadrakastam Maya Nashingham Vanashasmanityam Shri Vidyadhara Uchu Vidyam Vita Dharanaya Nuradham Yashe Dhalakyo Balavirya Dritta Sayena Sankye Pashuvatatastam Maya Nrisingham Pranataasmanityam Shri Vidyadhara Uchu Yam Bhajarana Radham Yasvedaragya Agya Balavirya Sayena Sankye Pashuvatatastam Ashingam Fantasmaditam.
Sri Vidyadhara Uchuhu Vidya Pratagdharanayānuradhā Yate Dadagyo Balavija Driptaha Kayena Sankhe Pasubadhatastam Ayanatimam Tamasatmam
Pranatasmanityam Shedadaruchu Ashedagyo Sanke Pashubhadastam Ayana Simbam Pranatasmanityam
Inhabitants of Vidyadhara Loka pray.
Loka pray.
Mystic formulas. Which one can appear and disappear.
By which one can appear and disappear.
Be talked separately. By various meditations within the mind. This fool, pulled up, puffed up by bodily strength and his ability to conquer enemies. Saha, he, Hiranyakashipu. By whom? Sankhya, in battle. Ashubha, exactly like an animal. Killed. Down. Appearing as Lord Nishini by the influence of his own energy. Certain eternal translation of his language. Inhabitants of Vidyadhara Loka are acquired power to appear and disappear in various ways according to varieties of meditation, was banned by that foolish Hiranyakashipu because of his pride and his superior bodily strength and his ability to conquer others. Now the Supreme Personality of Godhead has killed him just as if the demon were an animal. Unto that supreme pastime form of the machine, the eternally comfort of the spoken words. Inhabitants of Nagaloka said, the most sinful Hiranyakashipu took away all the jewels on their hoods. These are even from Nagaloka is a lower planet. Lower planet in Udar or something. Sometimes we say upper, middle, and lower planets, but actually there's many varieties of different levels of planets. And many of them will be represented here in this chapter of offering prayers. Now, the inhabitants of Nagaloka. The most sinful Hiranyakashipu took away all the jewels on our hoods and all our beautiful wives. Now, since his chest has been pierced by our nails, You are the source of all pleasure to our lives. This is, like I said, this second verse is much more, I can say, grossly direct. Saying, thank you, you saved us, you gave us our jewels back, our wives back, our wives are really happy now. And they both verses they say, and the demon was killed by an animal, here it said he was killed, pierced by your nails. So you can understand the mentality of both of these personalities, even though they're different levels, different planets. You are the source of all pleasure for our wives. Thus we together offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Because you satisfied our desires, we offer respectful obeisances. Whereas I offer my respectful obeisances to you, period. No other interest, no exchange, no business exchange. Purport by the language of prophet. No one is peaceful if his wealth and wife are forcibly taken away. All the inhabitants of Nagaloka, which is situated below the earthly planetary system, were in great anxiety because their wealth had been stolen and their wives kidnapped by Hiranyakashipu. Now Hiranyakashipu, having been killed, their wealth and wives were returned. Their wives felt satisfied. Inhabitants of various lokas or planets offered their respectful obeisances unto the Lord because they were relieved by the death of Hiranyakashipu. Before they weren't necessarily offering obeisance because they were relieved, they got all of their wealth back because Hiranyakashipu was killed, and then they offered obeisances. Pure devotees always offering obeisances constantly without any thought of good or bad or getting any return. Disturbances similar to those created by Hiranyakashipu are now taking place all over the world because of demonic governments. You remember this was written 50 years ago. Most of it, nothing changed. The same problems are there. There's nothing new. I sometimes say there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
In fact, the devotees wanted to. We want to tour, not necessarily for preaching. I want to go visit this place and visit that place. So what are you going to see? Everyone is doing the same thing, eating, sleeping,
Ending.
same business. Birth, death, old age, disease, same thing is going on. It's been going on since the beginning of the universe, and it's going on now, and it's going on in this country. Sometimes I tell people, I'm from India, since I've been here, where are you from? I'm living in Italy. What do you go on this into? Yeah, there's some nice artistic things, but the people, everything is going on the same, a little different kind of food, but otherwise everything is exactly the same. There's no use, just like during the lockdown. Even devotees, unfortunately, devotees were very worked out. If this reason, that reason, maybe this might be that. We're all concerned and watching the news even nowadays, and that got me, and some of one devotee sent around, it was very nice. It was a conversation of Srila Prabhupada, a morning walk conversation in Australia. And he said the demons are going on with the same business, and they'll always be going on. You can do what you want, you can say what you want, but they're always going to be going on with the same business. So it's useless to waste time getting all worked up about what the demons are doing. And just don't waste time with it. Get absorbed and become a Krishna conscious in this lifetime, finish up your business. And that's the only way you can resolve the problem. By making any kind of material adjustments, political adjustments, war, not war, bad, whatever, you won't change anything. The same suffering will be there, the same problems will be there, the same taxes will be there. everything will be there the same. So why devotee should not bother his mind about all these changes in the material world? I've heard that, especially here in America, devotees, even devotees are getting all worked up at this political party, that party, and actually becoming really upset and disturbed about it. But it's just like these prayers here, only because it's involved with your material life, that with your sense gratification, that you're becoming, because you're attached to that, then you're becoming upset and disturbed about. And actually, as devotees, our only business is to become Krishna conscious, to hear and chant it. Why did Prabhupada like so much Prahlad Maharaj? Prahlad Maharaj is famous, even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in Jagannath Puri. He wouldn't just hear about Radha and Krishna and the gopis. He would like, especially like to hear all the reading of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj. Great devotees, Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva, especially Prahlad Maharaj. It's very dear to devotees because of his example, as being told, even in a situation, well, we can't even imagine. Can you imagine if your father was trying to kill you? It's inconceivable how the father would, Hiranyakashipu, just because his son Prahlad didn't follow the line and worship him, his father, as God, and where instead he said, no, Vishnu is God. And it just happened that Vishnu killed his uncle, killed Hiranyakashipu's brother, Hiranyaksha. So he was especially, Hiranyakashipu was especially, it was just like stabbing in his heart. You know, my son is worshiping the one person who killed my brother. This was all about bodily identification. Oops. And but Prahlad Maharaj, he was never disturbed. Why? Because he was totally absorbed. I mean, can you imagine, like I said, could you imagine your father? Not just, he didn't just, first he picked them up and he threw them on the ground. And he told them, take them on. First was the whole thing, because first he told them, go back. And first he got really angry with the teachers. So what are you teaching him? It's your fault. So no, we didn't teach him any of these things, but we don't know where. Well, you take him back and you fix him up, you teach him properly. Otherwise, they knew like, they were foolish. So they went back and they had really intense retreats. Yeah, Maya retreats, very intense study of materialistic life, sense gratification, politics, diplomacy, everything. They really did their best to teach because Prahlad Maharaj, he became fully Krishna conscious in the womb of his mother by hearing Narada Muni all day, every day. He was hearing the whole time he was in the womb of his mother. He was hearing Narada Muni explain the absolute truth, explain Bhagavatam, explain Srimad Bhagavatam. So when he came out, he was already completely pure devotee. He was had no even tinge of, just as Narada Muni has made so many devotees. And this Prahlad Maharaj, he made great devotee. And so when he came out, he was totally absorbed in hearing and chanting, remembering. Primarily, Prahlad Maharaj is famous for remembering Krishna. Just Kirtan, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, remembering. But we remember by hearing and chanting about Krishna, then we remember Krishna. But he was always absorbed. 24 hours constantly absorbing remembering Krishna. So, therefore, even though I don't think any of us have having such bad things happen to us that are probably trying to kill us. So maybe I know that the devotees in Ukraine, for instance, it's very interesting. Actually, they told me that there's so many people are becoming devotees, so they don't know where to put them. They don't know where the temples are full of people because of such difficult situations, so much suffering. So many relatives have been killed, so many of their friends have been killed, they may be killed, the missiles are flying over your head. There's danger at every step. Actually, there's danger at every step also here, right now. We don't see it So we don't take it seriously, and we don't think, let me take shelter of Krishna 100% now because I could die at any moment. Actually, we could, but when if you're in the middle of a war or someone's trying to kill you, then it's very clear. You're convinced. You're convinced. You become serious. Just like what Prabhupada said when they asked him, why are you giving sannyas to these young men? Why are you giving sannyas to these young men? He said, usually, isn't it that the old men, they take sannyas, and at the end of life, they take sannyas, they renounce everything, take sannyas. He said, what does it mean, old? He said, what does it mean, old? Old means about to die. What does it mean when you're 78 years old? You're thinking of much, much, much more. I don't think too many of you who are in your 20s, 30s, 40s, max, you're not thinking too much, too often about, I'm going to die very soon. You're thinking that's long, 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 long away. Or someday. It's not something that's roughing your consciousness very much. But I can tell you when you're 70, 80, especially when you're 80, if you make it to 90, or if you make it to 80, or if you make it to 90, then it's much, much more. That's why it says, take sannyas when you're old, because you're close to death. And the sannyas means renouncing everything, and then you're the most prepared for death. You've given up already material. So Prabhupada said, how can you close to death? Who here can say he's not close to death? No one can say for sure. You may be. Nowadays, even children, we have one lady who comes to our temple, and she's an infant heart surgeon. That means, and she said, no, and we said, well, there's so much to do. Yeah, every day in the hospital, there's cases every day, big hospital. Every day there are cases where a baby's born already close to death. Could die if they don't do that heart operation. She specializes. She's now started working. And can you imagine how big is the heart of a baby? It's supposed to be about that big. They have these robots now. They do all this online. I think it's artificial intelligence, and they're able to operate. She does said every once a day, at least one a day. She was getting trained in the hospital in Paris, 6 a day, 6 times a day. So that means there's less and less normality that you're going to live, to 80 years old, and you have all these different passages, different things in your life, passage of your life, student to family, and then you retire. There's no guarantee of that you're going to have all that time to prepare. Well, that's why Prabhupada said, therefore, actually said everyone should take sannyas immediately. Renounce material life immediately, because you don't know how much time you're going to have. And Prahlad Maharaj was the perfection of this. He was from when he was born. He's 5 years old. He was totally absorbed in remembering Krishna and speaking about Krishna. He was every opportunity he had. There's a wonderful chapter of his instructions to his classmates, because his classmates, they were all sons of demons. They had the whole class. And it's not necessarily they were demons just because they were sons of demons. In fact, Prahlad Maharaj, he converted them, he changed them, he changed their hearts by speaking about Krishna consciousness. And of course made Hiranyakashipu even more mad that he was contaminating, and the teachers especially, there were so many, he was contaminating his whole class. It's like maybe some of you, you go to your college, some of you were still students, maybe not the brahmacharis, but when you were students, and then when you went in your class and maybe you were speaking to some of your friends about Krishna consciousness, and I'm sure their parents were not so happy. I'm sure the professors were not so happy. Is that right?
Yeah.
like their ecstasy, but you can make them come and become brahmacharis. But that's the nature of the devotee. The devotee wants to remember Krishna and tell other people about Krishna. He's not selfish. He always wants to tell other people about Krishna. And that was Prahlad Maharaj's perfection. He was remembering, and then every chance, every opportunity, when it was the free time, the teachers, I guess that's how they do. They were doing in the group. Well, the teachers at some point during the day, they would go home for lunch. And so Prahlad Maharaj would take that opportunity, come over here. No, we wouldn't play. Why don't you come and play with us? No, we don't have time to play. Life is short. We have to come and become Krishna conscious now. You have to start when you're young, not when you're old. Like Prabhupada said, who can say that they're old, that they take sannyas and get serious about spiritual life when they get old. But we may be very old. We may die today or tomorrow. So we may already be very old. Now Hiranyakashipu, having been killed, their wealth and wives were returned. Their wives felt satisfied. The inhabitants of various lokas or planets offered their respectful obeisances unto the Lord because they were relieved by the death of Hiranyakashipu. This is the trick. They offered, before they weren't necessarily offering the thank you, you saved us from this suffering, material suffering. You gave us back your sense gratification. No, so we'll offer obeisances and thanks. Thank you, O Lord. Maybe some of you come to temple. Thank you, O Lord. I passed my examinations. Lord. Thank you. You gave me all my material life. Remember that Srimad Bhagavatam, the very beginning, second verse, says that it's kicking out. Kicking out all envy and all motivated devotional service. So here in this work, in this Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll speak only about pure devotional service. But why we're speaking about Hiranyakashipu and all these different types of devotees. Maharaj, he had so many material motivations when he started. No, these are examples. These are great devotees that Krishna engages, uses to show us a living example that we can relate with, that we can go through like Dhruva Maharaj. And but always the conclusion, the end of the discussion is always pure devotional service. The devotee, that personality that's going through is Chitta-ketu, so many personalities in Srimad Bhagavatam, but they always come to pure devotional service. So that's what Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's will bring us up, of course, 9 cantos up to the 10th canto, where the highest level of pure devotional service for Krishna in Guru. As stated in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the men of the governments of Kali Yuga will be no better than rogues and plunderers. That's about as obvious. Everyone knows it. No more surprise. This is not new news. Everybody's aware of that. Everybody in the world, every government in the world is living in this situation because they're all lower than Shuddha. Somehow or other, they're capturing government posts simply for stealing from them. And I don't know here, but I know in where I live in Italy, there's people are like just every day they're just talking so much. So many taxes, this tax. It's Bangladesh devotee, yes, the small business. And you just told me the other day, oh, our accountant didn't do something he's supposed to do. And now it's just a small business of some flowers. So something he's dealing with large sums of money. And so you have to pay. And he said the tax people, they just told him, oh no, you have to pay 60,000 euros or $60,000 now, or else we're going to take everything. So and he said he couldn't sleep for like a week. All night was just I just spoke to him yesterday, so we're working it out. But Christians protecting and saving them. But people are in great distress, and people are living, you might think that, yes, I'll be able to make a nice, comfortable, happy situation in this material world. I work hard, I'm very intelligent, I'll get a nice job, and I'll be able to make a nice, comfortable situation. A little sense gratification, a little Krishna consciousness, and I'll be happy. It's getting to be more and more difficult. That's what this was written 50 years ago, but it's been coming true for hundreds of years, and it's only going to get worse. As mentioned yesterday, it's going to just get worse, and it is getting worse day by day. Just to speak with the people, so much so that thus the populace will be harassed on one side by scarcity of food, and another by heavy taxation by the government. In other words, the people in most parts of the world in this age are harassed by the ruling principles of Hiranyakashipu. There's Hiranyakashipu's little tiny Hiranyakashipus. There's not nobody with that power like Hiranyakashipu. There's little small replicas of Hiranyakashipu in the world. These people are suffering. Therefore, it's the great urgency to get Krishna consciousness out to the people. And as we read, some of you were, most of you weren't, many of you weren't here. The other day we read some letters from Srila Prabhupada that he sent to me in response to our report, because you asked us to give a report on the temples once a month. We did twice a month. We should do that every month. And he gave some instruction. I was in 2 temples. I was in charge of 2 temples. Well, first in Berkeley, which is a big university city, you know, University of California, Berkeley, and Boston, which is, I think, is the biggest university city in the world. There's more universities, colleges here in the city. I don't know in India, but is there anything comparable? I mean, there's universities.
These are very huge.
So many.
Yeah.
That's what and then where I am now in Bologna, in Italy, it happens to be the oldest university in the world.
Oh.
It's over 1,000 years old as a university, established as a university. It's over 1,000 years old. I don't know in India. Maybe it's a different concept, I would imagine, historically. But at least in the Western world, it's the oldest university. And there's 80,000 students, which I think is quite big even in America. It's quite big. And probably gives similar instructions for both places, both in Berkeley and Boston. First, he said, see that the temple is all the regular programs, all the devotees are following all the regular programs. Mangalarati, Japa, Srimad Bhagavatam class. And then he said, especially recruit. Well, this is a different one. This is my initiation. So this is another it's addressed to me, not to just, should be in the archives because I gave the letters to them. So, anyway. So see that the regular program is going on. And he said, flood the city. He said, because it's a great seat of learning, a great university, you should flood, and he intended flood the books to the students in the university with my books. And he said to recruit intelligent people from the university, they can be trained up as preachers for spreading Krishna consciousness. He very much was. There's well over, I think there's hundreds of letters from Srila Prabhupada to temple presidents specifically about preaching in the university. Yeah, here it is. This is one of our most important branches. This is in Berkeley, especially because it is located just in a very large university area, well known in your country as a famous seat of learning. So now it will be very important to flood Berkeley City with our books and literatures, because if we can convince the intelligent class of men, So we want to give Krishna consciousness to everyone, but he was also particularly interested in the intelligent class of men, because he knows intelligent class of men, they can seriously read Srimad Bhagavatam and take up Krishna consciousness seriously, and they're capable of convincing others, teaching, training and teaching and converting others to Krishna consciousness more than just an average person. How can it go down? This one goes down. Because we can convince the intelligent class of men of our Krishna philosophy that our success for changing the position of your country and the rest of the world from a very dangerous condition is assured. That's how important this program of preaching in the universities is. For changing the position of your country and the rest of the world from a very dangerous condition is assured. If we simply flood university intelligent boys and girls with Krishna consciousness. Just see that our routine program, just such as rising early, cleansing, reading books, chanting, street sankirtan, deity worship, and so on. If these items of regular program are maintained to the highest standard and not neglected for anything, even big festival, right? Then everything else we try for will come out successful without fail. So we should always have this understanding that most important is the basic program, spiritual program, get sadhana, hearing and chanting every morning, Mangalarti, japa, Srimad Bhagavatam class, worshiping the deity, going out on Sankirtan, going out in the street. This was his instruction on how to run the temple. The CEOs. Say this for the residents here. So you are now a big officer, and I think Krishna has favored you by this position because now, why is he favored by the position? Because now you will be forced to always be the best example of Krishna conscious person because everybody's watching. And if you say something, it's well, are you doing it? It's always like that. If you're a leader, like an example, even in the cover or whatever, if you're a leader that everybody's watching to see, is he a hypocrite? Is he doing what he's saying? So then you'll feel that pressure. So that's why he said you're fortunate because you'll be in the position of there being so much pressure on you to be an exemplary devotee. The best example, a Krishna conscious person, be very, very responsible because you must make sure this is the most important. You must make sure that all the devotees in your temple are always satisfied as far as possible by being happy in spiritual life. That's probably the most difficult thing. We have 2 temple presidents here, right? I think you're more than temple presidents. Yes. We have to make sure that all the devotees in your temple are happy and satisfied. That's what you do.
In spiritual life.
In spiritual life. Yeah. Yeah, that's like the prasadam all the time. They should be happy in spiritual life. How will they be happy in spiritual life? They should make sure that they're following all the Bhagavad. Really great. You can find your one or two anyway. This. I'll say. I would also send a letter. And the previous temple, previous to this temple, was on North Beacon Street. It was kind of a rundown building, and we were repairing. We were repairing and we're fixing it nicely. So I'm very happy to hear that the reparations are being completed, and so that now respectable people will come to do that. So this is also very important. Respectable people don't go to rundown, dirty, not so nice places. They go to respectable places. And probably it's not the problem is discriminating, no, but what about the poor people and not respectable people? Not respectable. No, Prabhupada is giving his mercy to everyone, of course, but in actually getting people to come to the temple, to become Krishnas, become devotees, and then do something to help spread Krishna consciousness for other people. Then he wanted to, he didn't come to America to just to save the Hindus. He said, that's what Krishna sent me, so we did the best with what Krishna sent me. But many times he was in this letter and also in Los Angeles, he wanted to have the temple a very suitable place where respectable people would feel comfortable to come and sit down and hear about Krishna. Because he knew that if intelligent class of men, respectable people, serious people, take a Krishna consciousness, they'll naturally, the others will follow, then the mass will follow. So that was part of Prabhupada's strategy, you could say. Get the intelligent people and then let the other people become devotees. But to get intelligent people to become devotees, it has to be a respectable place. You have to explain philosophy in a logical, rational way and convince respectable people. Okay, I'll think it's 9 o'clock. So, does anyone have questions? So shortly, in another few verses, if you're still, I think you're still around.
Take some questions.
Yeah. Well, they'll be getting to the post-ecstatic chapter.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't pacify the Shinadeva. So finally, Brahma, Shiva, they said, I think on you. So they were, because it was, imagine Hiranyakashipu, he was gigantic. Was the Supreme Lord in his ferocious, angry aspect. And imagine before such a display of anger. So everyone, they were all afraid. But they somehow they knew that I think only Prabhupada only knew because here was pure devotee. And then we'll see in the next. And so, question? Yes.
I have a couple of questions.
I'll try. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Am I loud enough?
I can
Light is showing, only sound is not coming. That's why
you would have sure.
you can use this one.
Yeah.
I saw your photograph distributing books. Thank you. Such a wonderful example.
Thanks, Brian.
In our Boston youth preachers and book distributors group, it was circulated and we were all very inspired by seeing you. We have heard about you distributing.
It was fun. Like Vaisheshik Guru said, it's fun and easy.
I had a question. After we distribute books, we collect a lot of contacts. We have 500 or 1,000 contacts. So we would like to have those people become like committed devotees, preferably like the full-time devotees or very committed Grihastha devotees. So any baby steps which will lead to that, we can share it.
I don't have the magic strategies. I can just think about imagine. Main thing is to keep in touch with them, keep friends. Don't try to convert them immediately, but keep a friendship, invite them to the temple. And eventually, if it, other than Indian background, the young people, they're going to have some kind of place. It's not a Hindu temple, but it's people who are not from Indian background will feel comfortable to come. Primarily by being friends and not feeling that you're trying to convert them, explaining them philosophy of rational, logical, intelligent, and scientifically probably speak so often about science. This is a spiritual science. So of course, we know young people nowadays, even 40, 30, 40 years ago, science is predominant all over the world. So we have to be able to explain scientifically Krishna consciousness. And just by being friends, but you have to create an atmosphere that they feel comfortable. Most, I think, from Indian background, they'll feel comfortable to come here. Western background, I can tell you, they won't feel comfortable to come. It's too overwhelmingly Indian, as you saw last night. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying if you're asking, I don't know if the 500 contacts you have are 100% all Indian or
No, mixed there.
mixed. So there are some others. I think Indian, you just do what you already do in your place. But as far I can only recommend it for as well as regarding other nationalities. But I think for Indian, it's exactly the same. They may be a little less inclined to give up everything because they've worked so hard to get a place in the university here in America with the possibility of getting a job here in America, making lots and lots of money. Then it may be a little more difficult to get them just to give up and become brahmachari, but they can become, like someone may do, but I think there's incredible pressure on them from the family back home and from the government here, the university, just like incredible pressure to perform and to do it, get the results, final results. Maybe get, but they can become friends, they can go to the temple, they can change japa, they can live in an apartment with others, because all students have to have a room somewhere. They all rent rooms somewhere where they rent a room with other devotees, other student devotees. So that's pretty easy because you already do that. Westerners, like I said, I was thinking about it last night and looking in the. We had the same problem in Bologna. We started 20 years ago, we had a Sunday feast, and we have a Bangladesh community, and they offer to cook. That's another big thing, is food. Prasadam, and they were cooking, but of course, you know, Bengali cooking, it's like everything fried. If it's not fried, it's not good. If it's not fried, it's not good. If it's not really hot and spicy, it's not good. So many, we would advertise in the places right in the center where the university was. We would invite them, young local boys and girls, they would come, but they would come one time. They will come on. It was an interesting experience. I went to a Hindu temple. It was a nice experience, but they would think of coming back again. They would think of changing their life. This was just too different. So we divided. We had the Saturday feast for Italians and Sunday feast for Indians. So you can maybe try something like that. Just have some program where it's just. Not emphasis on the details, like on that program, we have, that would be part of the weeks for the worship. And this talking class, here comes and prasad. West, you can have the Indian prasad, but not not everything fried. Make sure it's otherwise I couldn't eat it when I got here the first day. So, but it's natural that if you want to preach to students here, if you don't want to, then everything's fine. It's fine. You're gonna get so many Indian boys and girls. I stopped the students on book distribution. It's definitely the Indian students was easy. It's like it was a natural. They were naturally. Some of them had already been stopped 5 times probably because they were their second or third year. So they were like. They become American. The other thing is you have to catch in the first year because after 1 year they've been here, when they get to the second year, they start to degrade. They start to get influenced by the American culture. They start to drink, they start eating meat, they start smoking, and they start doing So
Hmm.
same, it's the same anyways. You gotta catch them in the first year, the Indian ones. But the Western ones are already integrated, so it's they're always the same. It doesn't take. Except they'll be more contaminated by science and atheistic training philosophy. So it's both ways, it's better to catch them the first year and have entertaining, nice programs for them. But you have to be able to speak, you have to get, it's not that an Indian monk is also interesting, it's attractive. It's like Buddhist monk, Dalai Lama, it's kind of exotic. But you have to be able to relate to them. But I think you already have you know how to speak to university students as far as the mentality of science and everything. I think you can explain logically, scientifically, philosophy, without, you have to cut out the emotional part. Kirtan, everyone likes kirtan is good for everyone. Like the Bhakti Center, but you can do that, a different day. Or the, for Westerners,
That's all.
and then advertise it. Special.
I
It'll be difficult because we're having this problem because we have our Saturday feast. And all of a sudden, the last few years, because it is a temple, we have deities, but not a collaborative worship. It's a kind of small place. And all of a sudden, the Indian students coming, if you go there, there's sadhana, and there comes to the field, they meet some of their other Indian students. And we see automatically that the Italian attendance is declining.
Oh,
Because
so that's strictly separate programs.
I would say so. I bet if they become, really devotees like that, then they'll be able to come to the Sunday feast.
Correct.
But I can say that the Sunday feast here was really overwhelming as far as from the point of view of a Westerner coming. It was quite overwhelming as far as a cultural impact on the person. Be quite overwhelming. See, because it has to be an atmosphere that it's all about to have an atmosphere that they feel comfortable in, because it's a big thing. When I go to this place, I don't know what they do. They invited me to this meditation course. I find, at least in India, the students meditation, yoga. Their mothers do yoga. 20-year-old students, their mothers do yoga. So they're meditation, anti-stress, because they're all stressed. So that's going to be one way. You have to figure out a way, but you have to create the right atmosphere. Otherwise, they're scared of it.
More my idea.
Not
Thank you, very helpful. It was very helpful. Thank you. I have another question. Now there are many many preachers when they come to Krishna consciousness. In the college days, they had a very good training program and everything in the early days. Now, eventually, they become brahmacharis, they become residents of the ashram. And after that, they have work.
You're speaking about
In here also, there also, both places. When they join the temple, after that, there are overwhelming amount of services. They have preaching, they have temple services, they have morning programs, and the daytime also. Many of them spend a lot of time in youth counseling and guidance program, preparation for the program, everything. One of the easiest things that become compromised is the morning program.
is that
Morning program.
morning?
Yeah. Like for example, taking out in between Guru Puja time, people go to give their own classes sometimes. People sometimes in the middle of the japa, they have to leave and go sometimes. So I feel that the morning program requires responsibility and strong sense of duty, and that has to be done along with being cheerful, But I find that I am traveling to many places in India also, many of the temples. Over the years, with 5 years, 10 years down the line, even the very senior people also gradually slacken the morning program. And little by little, on the other hand, the new ones come very enthusiastically. And then they also eventually, as they grow, they become slackened. So my question to you was this: you were saying, you were saying in the course of your talk that they have to be exemplary. So because of them not being exemplary, the new people come, they take a little bit of Krishna consciousness and they go away. They don't become very serious in Krishna consciousness. So because I wanted to know in Srila Prabhupada's times, when he started the movement, those 12 years, how did Prabhupada maintain the devotees' enthusiasm level to such a degree that day after day, month after month, year after year, they went on, like stability, steadiness, consistency regarding that again.
Good question. Good question. Because as we saw, we read that letter from Prabhupada, and he said that just he that the morning vote is maintained strictly without fail.
Yeah.
He said that everything you try for, all projects, counseling, recruiting, book distribution, everything you try for will be successful. So we can remember that. I can say for myself, it was quite interesting the last couple of days to meet many old godbrothers that I see many godbrothers all different stages of life, more or less. And I can say for myself that sort of saved and saving me is strictly, especially, I can say especially, most important of all is chanting all around in the morning. I can chanting. The first thing I actually, because I live at home, I worship the deities, so I can't start making too much noise too early, but get up at 3 o'clock and just chant all around. More than 60 rounds, chant all arounds. In Srimad Bhagavatam, worship the deities. Those are the basic activities. Chanting Japa, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, worshiping the deities. Those are the main spiritual activities. But if you don't do it in the morning, I've watched so many devotees that once you start, I'll do those other 8 rounds during the day. By then, every time you start clicking the clicker on there, you click. I don't know why. It's a terrible thing. I know. So I'm a grouse. I have to go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning. Somehow or other, organize your life that get up early, go to sleep early. The big problem with Grihasthas is go to sleep early. Maybe they have a problem with dinners, with the family, watching a little movie, and then it gets late. So if you get up, go sleep 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, then you're not going to be able to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock. You should. So this spiritual program is you have to get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock. Prabhupada said if you can't get up by 4 o'clock, you can't be a Brahmin. And he said you can't live in the temple. But he insisted that you get up by 4 o'clock. It's so early. I'm tired during the day. I'll sit over my computer and go to sleep early. Something, avoid the socializing in the evening. It was late and eating too heavy meal late. I know it's difficult because if you work during the day, you either eat some little thing during the day. Everyone comes home, but Indians are really, everyone, the Indians are especially attached to dinner. They always ask, what are you having for dinner? So I don't eat it. That's because that's primarily for Vyasa that they're working during the day and then have the difficulty to have a full meal during. Because actually, Ayurvedically, should eat the main during the day, not. Because that used to be hard to get up early if you have a big heavy meal at night, 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So these are a few things that encourage the devotees to not compromise on the morning program if they want, and also to get deeper into Krishna consciousness. to read the books, get into the process, not just I did my 16 rounds. I sat in class. I was looking at my phone or something. But really get deeply into the practice of Krishna. You want to love God, you want to develop love for God, you understand what the goal of all this is, where you're going, you really want to arrive at the goal, which is to become pure devotee of Krishna, go back to God. And so kind of keep reminding everybody that you get deeper into the practice of Krishna consciousness. You can see the leaders who are strong, they're very now they're after many years, 50 years of practice, they're getting more and more deeply into who is Krishna and Krishna, what is the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, but getting deeper into it, not just mechanically always going out. So we have to get your own inner development, and then naturally you'll be more empowered to give that, transfer that to others.
Any other question? Good. And then, you don't mind.
But in the name of preaching, just don't skip the morning prayer.
Correct.
What would you be preaching after what?
Yeah.
What will be the efficacy of your preaching?
Correct. Yeah.
And very beautiful principles to share. So in your time when the college preaching was going on in the universities, so
Now actually they don't use the word preaching.
Yeah, outreach.
outreach
Outreach. Preaching is very Christian word.
Yeah.
in the college outreach, what were some of the most important things that the youth were looking for, and what do you see today the youth are looking for?
I don't know. When I was young, there was at least some. You've read about the 60s and the young people's revolution and looking for. That was very strong in those days. Nowadays, I think it's just you got to stay on track and get ahead and you got to make it. Otherwise, you will walk. In those days in America, if you skipped a year of university, it wasn't a big problem. You could come back and start. Nowadays, if you skip a week of the classes and then the practice study and everything, you may be off. But or if you don't learn the latest, AI and all whatever,
Yeah.
thing, then you're off. It's like a train that's going so fast now that if you step out for a moment, and they feel that pressure. Their parents are putting that pressure on them, I guess. I imagine. And so what to do? Yeah. Oh, maybe it's a good time for Brahmacharya. Just leave the rat race. Give it up. Just you can be happy and peaceful. Maybe chanting about Krishna in the temple. Kind of like that. Many young people won't be able to do that, and they're not able to do that. That they can become good grihastas, but they have to have that discipline. You can also tell them that even if you want to get ahead materially, if you're disciplined, I've read some things about that. The big guys that really make big money and Musks and all those other people, they're super disciplined.
Yeah.
They sleep very little. And I was hearing it in some devotees that were speaking about this podcast. It's like a Ram-Ras podcast. He had one. He's a devotee, and he actually teaches people about semen retention, about being celibate, and becoming free of pornography. It actually was quite interesting. He said many of these big people they know this, that if you retain your semen, you become very powerful. Also, in material, you become powerful. Around Nikashipu, what did he do? He didn't just wasn't born really. He performed extreme austerities, which included semen retention, and he became powerful. So these things are known by even by materialists. If you're disciplined, you can't get anywhere materially or spiritually if you're not disciplined. And very regulated. So if we can use that in our Krishna consciousness, they can also take advantage of that. Also, they'll be more materially successful as well if they're disciplined and they have spiritual practice. It makes them much more stronger. I think that's it because, like I said, in my day it was the boom, American boom, the economy was going well, and young people were revolting against the wars and many things, and looking for an alternative way of life. Nowadays, I don't think they're looking so much for an alternative way of life. They're just looking how to become happy and survive in this rat race and just having to be pushed by anything. So if you can show them that it's possible to have a spiritual discipline, which will make you strong and centered and to be able to face, face what life can be about. You can be happy and strong even in your regular life. Okay, I better go.
That's fine. Thank you so much.
Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Gopala ki jai, Radha Gopinath. The deity's name and
When Radha Vrindavan Chandra.
Radha Vrindavan ki Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai.
When you come to India, please visit us. Yes, can I have programs with you? You come.